Alright, what's going on, guys? Greg here today, and I'm bringing you a subscriber review. I believe this is number 7 now at this point. So basically, some of the tips I'm going to be going over today is going to help newer players out, and the reason I say this is because after watching this gameplay, I'm going to assume that our player here today is newer to Call of Duty based off of their movement, and I think maybe I should start interviewing just with some basic interview questions for our submissions for the subscriber review series, so that way we can get some background of what kind of caliber player you are, so that way we understand what kind of tips and tricks I'm going to have to give based off of that, rather than just watching the gameplay and making assumptions. So let's start doing that for future references. But anyways, there is the first tip I'd like to give today, and that is movement, obviously. So I'm going to break away to my own gameplay here to further discuss movement with you guys. So for my example, we're going to go over basically some of the movement I've seen here and then what I would do differently. So I decided to choose a player to do this with that is an average Call of Duty player. They're around a 1.3 KD. It's a little bit above average. I'd say average is about 1.1, but that's the most common type of player you're going to see in your lobbies is the average Call of Duty player. So I decided to pick my friend who's around average, so that way we could see how they would react to me moving in certain scenarios. So based off of the first scenario here, we're going to be doing a normal, just walking like we saw in the gameplay here. So I'm just walking across here, and you're going to see that he starts shooting at me, and he's able to take me out with relative ease, as you can see here in the kill cam. Now, the reason you don't want to do this is because you're pretty easy to shoot at. Aim assist is going to start dragging, and you're going to be pretty much be caught easily by aim assist, as well as any decent player on keyboard and mouse that has relatively decent tracking. So let's go ahead and see what happens if I do a slide and a sprint. So I'm going to go ahead and hit my super sprint, and then I'm going to slide if I start getting hit, and so that way I know that I'm going to be able to get the cover faster. So again, this is going to be another time here. I'm going to go ahead and run with a normal running speed, and I'm going to hit a slide, and even then I'm able to get the cover. So let's take a look at what happens whenever you just walk around a corner and someone's pre-aiming at you. As you can see, you're going to die with relative ease. But what happens whenever you use a little bit more of an advanced movement to actually get around a corner like that on someone that might be waiting for you? Well, this is the result. My friend had no idea I was going to hit a double tack sprint jump on him around a corner, and as you can see, here's the result. So back to our subscriber gameplay here, let's go ahead and talk about tips number 2 and 3. So that's going to be radar awareness as well as map awareness. So based off of our radar here, we can tell that our teammates are on the other side of the map, and that's probably where our spawns are. Now, remember, as you are in the enemy spawn, which means the enemies are probably going to be spawning closer to you because of your positioning and your teammates' positioning. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is that you should be on alert whenever you are in this area and there are no teammates around. But as you can see, there's some teammates that are starting to push around. And if you're never sure where your teammates are fully located at because you can only see so much in the minimap, I recommend pressing the start button, the options button, escape key, whatever platform you may be on, and you'll be able to see the giant overview as well as the vectors of your teammates and where they're at. But generally, you can tell what side of the map the teammates are on based off of the way the vectors are pointing. And whenever you do this, you can get knowledge of where the enemies are going to generally be on the map, and over time you'll learn how the spawns work. So what you want to be doing is you want to be gaining knowledge of how spawns work with your teammates and where they're located and all that kind of stuff. And I recommend that you'll learn this as just by learning through playtime, but you'll also be able to catch on this whenever you are calling up UAVs or advanced UAVs, because you'll be able to see the locations of enemies. You can kind of see whenever they're spawning in, and you'll be like, okay, so that's where a spawn point is. And then at the same time, whenever you see where your teammates are located on the map and you see where that enemy spawns in, you start to think, okay, so if my teammates are positioned here, then that means the enemies might spawn there, right? So basically what I'm trying to say is you're going to want to pay attention a lot to where your teammates are spawning in at, but you also want to be paying attention whenever that UAV is up or an advanced UAV is up, that you want to be paying attention to where the enemies are spawning at based off of your teammates' locations, and I promise you that you'll be able to figure out over time and be able to predict the spawns where enemies are going to be, and that is something that a lot of higher tier players use, because spawns and map knowledge and intel and all that kind of stuff is one of the most important things you can understand whenever it comes to an FPS. So now, map awareness. This is another thing. because whenever it comes to map traffic, you're going to have to understand map awareness, which means you're going to have to know all the different kinds of jump spots on maps. You're going to have to understand how to maneuver the map. You're going to have to understand the spawns of the map that you have to know whenever you're playing the game. So here's my recommendation, and this is going to be for anybody else that is struggling in the game, and that is going to be use Private Match. It is a very useful tool, and this is something that's going to help you guys out, improve as players over time, but also it can help you learn spawns, map knowledge, when it comes to like map flow, and basically what you want to do is you want to set up on any map, any mode, and you just want to set up bots on the other team as well as your team. And one of the things you can do is you can turn your radar always on in the settings of Private Match. And basically what you can do then with that is you can see if you put the team bots, like the ones that are going to be on your team, to veteran difficulty, and then the enemy ones are recruit, basically you can watch spawns even. And that's one way you can start learning spawns. You can start even making connections based off of where you see that the veteran bots are walking at and where those enemy bots are going to be spawning in. So there's a lot of information you can actually get from Private Match games, and it's just something that I'd recommend you do maybe for a half hour before playing or whatever, depending on, of course, your schedule. I know everybody here has different schedules whenever it comes to work, school, whatever it may be. So if one day you have a little bit of extra time, go ahead in a Private Match and give it a little try, see what you can do. But I feel a lot of people just don't use this, and this is something that I used a lot back in Black Ops 1. It was combat training. That's what it was called then, and basically play like team deathmatch and domination, and you could do whatever map you wanted. There'd be bots on the other team. You could basically level up, earn kill streaks, all that kind of stuff. It's just like you're playing a normal match, but you can take it at your own pace. You can try out different things, and it's an interesting way for you guys to, like I said, learn the game. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. Now, for some other tips that I just want to go over real quick is I see that I'm not really sure, and you can correct me in the comment section below, but to me it looks like you're not too comfortable with your sensitivity on your controller, and it honestly almost looks a little bit too slow. So my question here is, what is your sensitivity that you're playing on? Because to me this looks like a 1 sensitivity or even like a 2 sensitivity. I'd recommend running anywhere from a 5 to a 8 or 9 sensitivity for the average player, just because it's kind of a mix between it's not too slow, it's not too fast, and that is the main reason that I would definitely recommend trying out those options. And then for your button layout, I'd recommend messing around with that, see if you like to slide a lot more, or if you find jumping is helping you out a lot more in your gameplay, then either play on tactical or stick and move, and that's going to help you as well with your movement that we talked about earlier. So one of those things that you also want to keep in mind is try to conserve bullets when you're playing the match. I saw that earlier you were spraying with the Uzi, and one of the things about trying to conserve bullets, and if you try to play with a specific play style, like where you just really don't shoot until you know that you've acquired the target, and you know that you're going to hit enough bullets to kill them. And this is something I do a lot in a lot of my gameplays. You'll see this: I don't really shoot unless I am on target and I know I'm going to hit those shots. And the main reason being, you can be a little stealthy whenever you're doing that, because you're going to make a lot less noise, because you're going to kill someone a lot quicker, and that's going to allow you to engage someone, disengage, and move on to your next target that might be around. So this all comes with being comfortable with your sensitivity, as well as just having good trigger discipline, and that way you also won't be caught with your pants down, and you'll have to reload whenever, if you've been spraying your gun or whatnot. So that's pretty much all the tips I really have for this video. So anyways, I'm going to start asking some specific questions, so don't send in any more subscriber gameplays, anyone that's watching us, just yet, because I'm going to be making a video that's going to go over the criteria of submissions, so that way I can link that for any future people that do want to submit subscriber gameplay, and that way we'll be able to have a little bit more background information on what kind of player you are, what kind of things you're struggling on, and basically it's just a way that I want to improve this series and have a little bit more thought whenever I'm going into this. And as always, if you have previously submitted a gameplay to me, that you can always do that again in the future. It's just right now I just want to take a little bit of time to rethink how I want to do everything, and then I'll redo the series. So it should be coming back soon. Obviously, I just want to make sure that we can get this a little bit more professionally, so that way I can help you guys a lot more. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and if you do have any suggestions on what kind of things you would like to see in the subscriber review series, or what kind of things I should be asking for that you might think might be important, leave it in the comment section below, and I'll see you all later. Peace.